And this is it. This is a new KubeFirst live stream. Hello, everybody. My name is Fred. Do you like the music of the 30 seconds countdown? I kind of like hate it at the beginning. Now I'm like, hey, it's kind of like interesting. I don't know.
It's reminiscent of the rush that we always seem to come into these live streams with. And now I've got this association. I'm starting to fall in love with it too, Fred.
Yeah, the only thing I'm gonna change, I really don't like the countdown with like the snowflakes going up or what. I don't know what that is. I need to change the animation, but I'm gonna keep the music. So, like any live stream, we start with some like stupid shit that are not related to the live stream at all. So, welcome everybody. Again, super excited to be here. I'm pretty sure you missed me. Sorry about that. I was not there at the last live stream. You were stuck with John and Jared only, so no pretty face for the show. But I watched the show. And it's like, except the first 4 seconds where Jared was like complaining in a really bold way about what was happening, which I don't think he'd known you were going live. Like the rest of the show was interesting. It was a good show. So, yeah. So we're back this week. It's a show with a guest. We're super excited to have Alejandra Thomas. Did I say it well, Hallie?
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
I know. I went 3 times in Mexico. Now I speak Spanish. So
nice.
No, not at all. But yeah, Ali is joining us from Testkube. Testkube is another project from the Cube Shop company. So we work at the same place, but we don't work on the same project. So I don't know. You would like to introduce yourself to the people watching us?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, John and Fred. It's a pleasure to be on here. My name is Ale, or is short for Alejandra, like Fred said. I am the developer advocate at Testkube. My background is in industrial and systems engineering and software engineering, also marketing. So I kind of got the magic mix to do DevRel. So really happy to be here and talk to you about Testkube. It's a product I'm very passionate about, so I hope I can share that passion with you guys and get you on it ASAP.
What a background. Now I feel like the stupidest person in the room. And John, who are you?
Yeah, who the heck am I? I'm John Dietz. I'm one of the co-founders of KubeFirst. LA, it's really nice to have you on the show today. I confess that I haven't had many cycles with Testkube yet. I'm just as excited as our audience is at learning this new technology. I've been doing test stuff probably the same way most of our audience viewers has been doing test stuff, just kind of building some unit tests, building some end-to-end tests into your CI pipelines and using it as a gate to get stuff out. So I'm excited to see what Kubernetes-native testing looks like. And we've got it on the GitOps catalog at long last. So we've got a nice marriage of technologies here. Let's get to it, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I like test is something that like everybody should do. Like every developer, every people building apps should like test their stuff. But known fact, like most developers don't. And you know, like we have technologies right now like Testkube. This is why I'm so excited about that show, because now we have technology that make it easier. Like I mean, it sound old, but like when I started to do software development, we had no framework to do testing. So our tests were basically usability tests. We're just testing your software and like, hey, it's working for me, so it's working. We didn't have unit tests. We didn't have like any other type of test that you can use to ensure any framework to help you to do that. So it's just like, I think a good time right now for software developer, even if like most developers don't really like to do testing, it's so important. So hopefully a product like Testkube is going to make the challenge and the journey of like testing your software a little more easy. And I'm like John, I need to confess, I plan to try it before the show, but you know, life work. I'm like, so now I'm a newbie, so I'm going to be like any other people in the audience, and it's just like trying to learn what's the project and how it can help me being a better developer.
Yeah, now you'll see it, and then you'll regret not having tried it earlier, because it's going to make testing so fun.
Oh, we see the marketing background here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
So let's, I'm giving you the mic. Tell us what the heck it is.
Okay. So first things first, well, I already introduced myself. There's my LinkedIn as well. You can find me as ALEL Thomas. But anyways, in this presentation, I'm going to cover the challenges of testing in Kubernetes currently, what the advantages of adopting a cloud-native approach to testing are, and take a quick look into Testkube. So it's going to be pretty much a little bit of background on why we are building Testkube and the kind of issues that we're trying to solve, and how we aim to make testing easier for everyone, especially in a cloud-native ecosystem. So let's just get started. Also, feel free to ask any questions or make any comments throughout the conversation. Like this is what it is. It's a chat, so happy to answer anything.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So starting off with today's challenges of application testing in Kubernetes, we start with probably the biggest, most important one, which is that the vast majority of current testing frameworks are not built with Kubernetes in mind. Okay. So they simply said, Kubernetes, you're not invited to the party. We don't know you. Okay. Which is not really nice, right? They're not. Yeah, exactly. With so many testing tools at our disposal nowadays, it's like we have tools readily available for any type of test that we want to run, but bringing them into Kubernetes is really a headache. It's not easy. It's not as simple to integrate as we wish it were. So more than likely, if you're a tester, if you're a developer who's working with Kubernetes applications, you have to find ways to make them work, which is not ideal.
Oh, sorry
and
about
John
that.
share screen and screen the presentation. I mean, only 7 minutes within the show, so that's good. But
We're
that
already
new record.
That gave me
one click and we're off the rails. Sorry, I thought I was adding that to the feed. My bad.
Yeah, actually, I did. I did not even know that. Like, if you start to share something after the show, it goes live automatically. So now we know.
Okay.
So it just happened. But that's a good segue. I just want to say hi to Alec, who is listening to us. I should say Alex. I think he's a fan. I think he liked Kubefirst. He always had like great tweets. And Alec just received his Kubefirst swag. He shared a nice picture with the T-shirt. With that said, I would say, like, if you're watching us live, so the first two, or let's say the first 5 person who say I in the chat during the live show, not if you watch the recordings, the first 5 person who say I and don't already have swag, I'm going to send you some Kubefirst swag. So you just need to say I in the chat, the first 5 person during the live stream. So on that note, Ali, sorry about that. We're back. We're giving back the mic to you.
Now I have to start over.
I don't remember where I was.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first challenge. All right. Just to summarize, Kubernetes is not welcomed by current testing tools. So they're not built with Kubernetes in mind. So the next challenge. Oh, I forgot this animation. Okay. But you got it. Okay. So the next challenge we have is that when we actually manage to incorporate a testing system into our more complicated workflow, now that we're using Kubernetes, we're playing around with all its components, all its moving parts, is that it becomes hard to debug your tests as well. Wait, did I move it? Yeah. It becomes very hard to debug your tests. It becomes really hard to actually visualize how your system is built. So for example, you will have your testers, you will have your developers that will have to now navigate through pods to find logs or find output files from maybe just a simple test script. So you will have a tester, I don't know, run a K6 script or a Cypress test to test the end-to-end process of your application. And then how do they get to your logs? How do they get to the artifacts that are produced? For example, Cypress that produces videos of your application. Where are those stored? How do you actually set that up? So this is building on top of all the complexity. You're building bottlenecks because your QA shouldn't have to do all of that. Your QA shouldn't have to be the one who's configuring your pipelines, who's trying to work with GitHub actions or trying to set it all up or setting your S3 bucket to store your files, right? They should just focus on testing. And specifically in nowadays that we're following a very modernized software development approach, with microservice architectures. We're using DevOps and GitOps approaches. It's all very modern, but our testing systems have stayed the same. And that makes no sense because we should also be modernizing our testing systems. So obviously orchestrating, like in the image, like in the slide right now, orchestrating your CI/CD pipelines can get very complicated. And here's about the debugging. And then, of course, closely related to the challenge of not having access to your pods, for example, for your logs, is that you're now being faced with restricted access to your testing environment. So, for example, you may have an internal API that you want to test, but it's internal and private for a reason, right? You might find yourself having to expose it with an ingress controllers or exposing them all together, which is not ideal, especially, they're private for a reason. You don't want to make yourself vulnerable to security attacks. So all in all, these environments are very hard to set up. And again, you're creating this dependency. Your QA lead, your developer team will have to be relying on a platform engineer, on your operations team to set all of this up. Every single time you want to add a new test type, incorporate something new into your testing system. Okay, so now that I ranted about the challenges, you guys let me complain. So
we're in a good show for that. We're pretty good at doing that at Kubefirst.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. So now that I've vented about all the bad things, I want to share with you all how we at Testkube think that testing should be done to try and catch up with the modernized or updated software development process that we're having right now, right? So for this, we've come up with 3 pillars of cloud native testing, which ideally is how testing should be done to stay consistent with cloud native environments. So the first pillar is execution. So we believe that cloud native testing should be easy. There's no need for it to be complicated. By adding your test into Kubernetes, you should be able to leverage Kubernetes capabilities and Kubernetes functionalities to really make your test executions scalable, your tools easy to integrate, be able to get fast test runs. So if your test processes are slow, that's not very cloud native of you. That's not cloud native at all, right? They should be fast. If your app and development process is like that, so your testing should be too. So providing you with quick feedback loops, fast response rates, that way you can act quick whenever something goes wrong. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is orchestration, which is another crucial part of cloud native ecosystems, because you need to be able to automate your workflows with ease, and you need to have flexibility in the types of tests and testing tools that you use. You shouldn't be limited to just using one type of test or just using one type of testing tool. And with this challenge that I talked to you about, where the tools are not compatible out of the box, that becomes a real problem and doesn't let you do real cloud native testing. So your tools and your tests that you already have should all be equally easy to integrate with your architecture. So like I said before, you want fast feedback loops that enhance and speed up your deployment process as well. Now, the third and last pillar is observability. And this word is heard everywhere in cloud native environments. But in this scenario and in testing in particular, what we mean is being able to monitor your tests, your executions, your logs, your results, your analytics, everything. You want to have easy access to your test results without putting your QAs or developers through unnecessary bottlenecks. You want to be able to tell how long your tests are running for. If there's a change in execution in time, be able to figure out drops in performance or any little hiccups you might come across. And of course, based on these, you want to be able to set appropriate alerts or reporting when your tests either fail or succeed. So you want to be on top of it all the time. That is a cloud native way. And based on those 3 pillars and looking to solve the challenges I discussed earlier is why we decided to build Testkube. So Testkube is the Kubernetes-native testing framework. Okay, we truly make testing cloud native and Kubernetes native because it's great if your QA can kubectl like a pro, but he shouldn't have to, right? He shouldn't need to do that. He should focus ideally on what he's the best at, which is testing your application, your developers as well. They shouldn't have to be worrying about all of those Kubernetes intricacies. They should be able to just focus on ensuring that your software and your applications are running smoothly and that your end users are getting what they want out of your product without any hassle.
Excellent.
That was like, who's that? Okay, so the way we make testing cloud native specifically is by incorporating it directly into Kubernetes. So traditionally, like you can see in that image, you will have your app in your cluster. Your tests will communicate with your cluster to test it. So you would have to kick off the process all the way from building and deploying every time you want to run a test. Whereas the cloud native way and how we do it at Testkube is you have your test files defined as CRDs with Testkube living in the same cluster. So you can use your CI/CD pipeline as a helper or as an enhancer instead of having it be a blocker. So instead of you having to wait for everything to run from the build process, you use your CI/CD pipeline to trigger test runs, to automate them, to schedule them, you name it. So it's really taking advantage of the flexibility of Kubernetes and cloud native principles. So it's very easy to set up. You just need to deploy Testkube into your cluster, and then you're ready to go, which is great because, like I said, you don't want to have if you make this switch into Kubernetes, right, or you're already using Kubernetes and you have your QA team that's in charge of testing for both the front end and the back end team, they shouldn't have to be worrying about pods or clusters. They should just be testing. So that's what we want to do with Test. We want to simplify it so you can really focus while we do the heavy lifting for you.
I'm a big fan of like any product that helps the people focus on what they do best. And this is why I like Kubefirst, because as a developer, I don't have to mind too much about Kubernetes and I can focus on building my app. So but seriously, any product that does that, I'm a big fan. Like, we need to remove complexity for other things that are important, but they're not your focus or your expertise. So why should you spend time to do all that? Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. We're ready to go.
All right, that's the end of the slide deck. Let's start out, I guess, by
we have a weird person though who's heading comment. I don't know, is that person Jared Edwards? Get up to your test, sound fun. I kind of agree with that.
Right? Get him a t-shirt.
Yeah, no, he doesn't deserve to get one. He has plenty. I just shipped him like a ton of stickers. It's good.
Don't worry, Jared. I'll get you a Testkube t-shirt.
Now I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Now I'm jealous.
That was a strong play, Ali. That was very well executed.
Yeah.
I just wanted to very briefly show to our Kubefirst audience the experience of adding Testkube to a Kubefirst provisioned management cluster. Most of our viewers are familiar with this screen. This is kind of the screen that you get after you do a Kubefirst management provisioning operation. It'll throw you this page into your browser and just kind of give you deep links into all of the applications that are part of our core delivery suite of applications. However, there's a couple additional ones down here that maybe our viewers aren't too used to. And this is what happens when you get a GitOps catalog application added to your management cluster. So they'll show over here instead. So in order to add Testkube to a management cluster, what you would want to do is go over to this GitOps catalog section from the services page here. And when you go to the GitOps catalog, it's really easy to find. If you just hit testing here, you'll find Testkube. You hit install. Testkube requires you to provide a handful of values. They have an API key, an org ID, and an environment ID. Those values are going to be different on a user by user basis. So I'm just going to put some garbage values in here, but
and this is the equivalent of like if you look at the Testkube documentation, they show you how to Helm install, and you're going to see with the Helm install comment that there's 4 more values, but those are default values for like anyone installing Testkube. So they're already in. If you go in the GitOps catalog, it's an open repo. I will share the link in the live stream later after. But like we already filled those values in the entry in the GitOps catalog. So you only need to put the value that are specific to your installation. And there's information in the documentation where you can get, like, where you can create and get your API keys, and where you can see like the org and the environment ID, which makes me think that we should have probably in the GitOps catalog in the next version, a kind of like learn more, like point to the documentation of the application that can be installed with a GitOps catalog. But now I'm thinking out loud over the internet. So I guess we don't have the choice now. We're going to need to have like, this is how I sneak stuff on the product team, on the engineering team. I say things live, and now they're like, oh, Fred said that. I'm like a salesperson, like who, promised things to user that did not exist.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Fred said it. Now we got to do it. Those are the rules. I don't make them. I just enforce them. So you provide the 3 values for your environment ID, org ID, and your API key, and you hit add. And what that's going to end up doing is in your Vault secret store here, you'll have a new entry down here. We won't wait for it, but you'll get a new entry here for Testkube, and in your GitOps management cluster, you'll get a new entry in here for Testkube as well. And then GitOps will be responsible for the rest of it. And that's basically all you have to do in order to get Testkube into a KubeFirst management cluster. And at that point, Fred, I'd like to throw the screen back over to Ali, and maybe Ali can show us some examples of Testkube live on her cluster.
Yeah, of course. Let me share my screen. But I love that. I love how simple that was.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. The GitOps catalog is going to be amazing for anybody that needs an easy way to install some applications.
That's awesome.
Our GitOps catalog is an open source repository that we host upstream, and all vendors, we're very vendor agnostic. Everybody's invited to add their applications to our GitOps catalog.
We love that.
And if you have any,
also vendor agnostic.
There must be something in the DNA here at KubeShop.
And if you want any application, like you're not the one building the application or services or whatever you need on your cluster, and you want this on a GitOps catalog, or you want to add it to yourself, go on Kubefirst /GitOps catalog, and you can create an issue or go on the Slack community and request for a specific application. So we just launched it not too long ago, so there's not too many applications in it right now, but we're working on adding more and more. But obviously, if you have suggestion, or you just like even if you don't use it, but you're like, hey, you're not serious, you're missing application X or Y, like let us know, and we're going to make sure that we have the right application. So it seems like Hallie, oh, now it's about me. Okay, Fred is the shirt master. Yeah, Alec Christian is part of the team. So he already get his KubeFirst swag. But I think it was talking about Hallie and Testkube t-shirt. So now, Hallie, I know you promised t-shirt only to Jared, but like it seems like you may need to give swag to all the KubeFirst team now.
Of course, happy to. But you have to actually use Testkube.
That's a good deal.
Oh, that's a good deal. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, then it's a deal. Okay. So, yeah, exactly. Visit testkube.io, especially if you visit cloud.testkube.io. If you haven't tried Testkube out, it's commercial time. If you haven't tried cloud.testkube.io, as soon as you sign in, you have access to all of our pro features. So for free, you don't need to input any credit card details even. You just have access to everything, which is a pretty great deal. So make sure to give it a try. It's very easy to use. Like John showed you, it's very easy to set up. And now I'll show you what it's all about. Okay. So now that, yeah, I'll get you, Alec, one.
I did Christian too.
Thank you. Yeah. T-shirts for everyone. T-shirts for everyone.
We have a whole promo and
Yeah. Okay. So now that you're past the setup, so let's say that it's just your platform engineer, your whoever's doing SRE, your operations, and your team just sets it up for you. Then you as a developer or as a tester are ready to go. You really don't need to do anything else to start testing. So you can launch Testkube's dashboard straight from your terminal. You can also use the CLI, or you can immediately go to cloud.testkube.io, sign in, and then you have this dashboard, a pretty neat dashboard that's pretty intuitive. So let's say that you want to create your first test.
I was just going to say, actually, it's pretty. Like, it is pretty, and it's like there's a dark mode, which I really need to have a discussion with Donna because I really want a dark mode in like on the consolification. But yeah, sorry about that. I just
funnily enough, I want to do light mode.
Who are you?
I mean, no, I want to offer that option. People give people the choice. I'm pro-choice, so we got to let them choose. And we don't even let them do light mode. So maybe in the future we will. I'll get back to you when we do, and I'll do another live stream entirely in light mode. Okay.
Yeah, but for the 10 people like light modes, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They deserve attention too. Okay. So you're here. You want to create a test. Let's say that we're going to create a test. It's very simple as clicking this button over here. Click on add a new test. We'll create a new test based on a K6 script. So let's say K6 load. Oops, my nails. K6 load test. So K6 is a load testing tool that's going to pretty much simulate a certain load that we want to receive. But let's say that you have these files. Obviously, it's not like you're going to be testing separate files realistically, right? What you have is maybe you will have these test files that are already living in your repositories, that are already living in your software. So what Testkube does is grab those test files. You just tell them where they're living. So let's say that we create this K6 file and you already have it in your GitHub repository. So you can either do as I told you, like add it from a file, add even just a script, because K6 works with JavaScript. So it would be just pasting the JavaScript code, or you can connect it to your GitHub repositories where your software lives. So let's connect it to Git, and then we're going to just copy the source. So we have this project over here. Then obviously this is a public repository just for the sake of this demo. But ideally, you would have this in a private repository. You just need to provide your credentials or even add it as a source so it's immediately connected to your GitHub. Then we indicate what branch it's from, and then the path, which I'll also copy over here. Then you can also add labels. Let's say, for example, if you want to group all your tests based on type of test, load testing, you can create a label over here. You can create them. You can just label them by type of test. You can add labels, for example, for your team. You can say, oh, this is for the front end team. Then you create that label and you can keep them all grouped, which is also pretty neat. So let's create the test, and that's it. The test is created. So now straight from here, or the CLI, if you're more of a terminal person, you can also use it. Use the commands. You have them readily available for you. Yeah, you like that? And then it's as simple as just clicking the button and run the test. Okay, so like I said, one of our pillars is observability. We want to make these results, your tests, your executions, your logs, super readily available for your testers and developers. All you need to do is click on the execution, and then you can see the logs in real time, and your test is performing. And then you can see when it actually succeeds in its completion with the logs. And then you also get detailed information on what is happening with your test. So you don't have to, you bypass that step of having to navigate to like, where did my logs end up in, right? Or having to, bother people because you don't know how to maybe use a terminal and you're just a tester. You just want to run your test. So then we can see that this test ran successfully. We also get analytics readily available for you. This is just an execution, but let's say that you want to run them a lot of times. You can do that, and then you get what's the average and the execution duration, how many times it's passed or failed. You can get that immediately through the dashboard, which is pretty cool. Then another feature that we have in Testkube is that you can actually take advantage of, like I said, Kubernetes capabilities to, let's say, trigger your tests. Let's say that you want to fully automate them based on if there's a change in your config maps, if there's a change or a new Kubernetes event, a new deployment to your cluster. You can also link your tests or group of tests to run immediately when something like this happens. So for that, you head over here to triggers. For example, I had already created one over here. And then you can see the definition over here. And this will run a K6 script every time there's a change in your config map. You can do it every time there's your config map gets deleted. You add in a config map, you override a job template, you name it. Okay, so this is meant, like I mentioned before, to really use your entire software as a helper as well. Your CI/CD pipelines, if there's a new change, if there's new commits, you can be triggering tests automatically without having to manually click on the Run Now button. Another really cool thing about Testkube is that we're also vendor agnostic, like Kubefirst. You can add right now we have native support for a lot of testing tools, but if we don't have the native support for that, so as you can see over here, the testing types, these are some of the testing types that we natively support right now. But let's say that you want to add a new executor, a new type of testing tool that's not on our list, you can definitely add that over here as executors. You create a new executor, and all you need to do is provide a Docker image for that executor. So let's say that, I don't know, you want to run Selenium, you want to run a specific version of K6, you want to run a specific version of another testing tool that we don't have yet. Then you just create it. Let's say I have one over here. So you create it here, and let's name it Kubent. So Kubent stands for Kube No Trouble, and it checks for deprecated APIs. So it's pretty cool to just have it running, on a scheduled basis, check if your APIs are up to date. And let's say that you want to add it, then all you need to do, you create the type, and then you copy the Docker image. And that's all you need to do. You can see the definition over here, and you can start using it, which is pretty intuitive, pretty easy. You don't need to do any extra steps. You can straight up start testing with Kubent or just any other testing tool that you want. Now, the latest addition to Testkube was also the ability to run tests in parallel. So I don't know if you can see the rest of my screen, or is it just that window?
No, we're just on
Testkube.
Testkube.
Only that window. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna share the documentation real quick. Okay. Sorry, but we have light mode here. Woo!
What's happening?
Trigger warning. So another thing that we recently added is the ability to run tests in parallel. So this is a huge advantage when you're testing in general, right? And how do we do this? We do this with test suites. So test suites were a concept that has been on Testkube for a while. It's pretty much, grouping tests, but we recently added the functionality to be able to run them also simultaneously, not just serially or sequentially. So test suite is pretty much a JSON where you indicate the steps that it should follow. For example, over here, as we can see, on the first step, it's running an API test and then an end-to-end test to the Testkube dashboard that I showed you. Then it has a delay, and then it runs 2 other tests with a delay in between. Then you can just play around with the order. And the cool thing about this is that normally, and it's commonly when you hear test parallelization in the QA world, it normally refers to running the same test across different environments. So let's say that you have an end-to-end test and you want to test it across different devices or different browsers or different operating system configurations. So usually running tests in parallel means, okay, I'm going to run this test 50 times because I want to test it at the same time on Edge, at the same time on Chrome and Firefox, and et cetera, et cetera. But we take it up a notch in Testkube where you can actually mix and match testing tools. You're not bound to just running the same type of test across different environments, but you can actually do test suites where you mix and match an end-to-end test, an API test, a performance test, a load test, and just play around with the tools that you use, the type of test that you're running. And I'm going to show you how that looks. This is how you would do it from the terminal as well. You create the test suite directly with the JSON, but this is how you would do it with the dashboard, which is pretty much just a JSON visualizer. So we go over here to test suites, and then we're going to create a new one. Let's say that we name it Kubefirst test suite. You can add a description. You can add labels to it as well. Like I said, to group them, keep them grouped like you would tests. So we created, and then the only thing that we have to do is start adding tests. So we can add the one that we just created. And at the same time, we want to run, let's say, a CURL test. And then at the same time, we want to run a Postman test to test our API. And then we want to run a test. You want to run a K6 test, another K6 test. But then we add a delay, let's say of 1 second. And then we add yet another test over here. That's a CURL test, 2 CURL tests. Let's just say that. Obviously, you would,
I was going to say I'm a CLI person, but I really love that interface.
No, it's
so
a great
cool,
UI.
huh?
It is.
Yeah, shout out to Testkube's front end team. They're the best. So you just hit save. You can actually see the definition over here. You see everything that you're running. And then, like I said, you can also schedule it. So let's say that I want to run this test every 3 hours, every hour, just check how my app is doing against different loads. For example, if this were only load testing, or trigger it with new deployments, check if do like health checks, right? So you can do all of that. But now let's run our first test suite, and then we can open it, and you actually see. and then you immediately see like the progress as well, and the steps. So as you can see, like we said, on the first step, we're running 3 tests. Then we'll have the K6 test. Then we'll wait for a second, and then we'll run 2 CURL tests. And the cool thing about this is that each of them have their separate logs as well. You can still find them. You can still find them all. As you see, this test already finished its execution. So it's all super readily available. You don't have to do anything else except click, which is pretty cool. Tell Testkube where your files are, and Testkube does all the heavy lifting for you. We really take advantage of all of these features that make cloud native. We want to let you have your files where they need to be, where you need them to be most. So we'll just wait for the rest to run. But that's pretty much it. And this makes it super easy and gives back the power to your testers and developers who, sadly, with these shifts into Kubernetes, sadly, you take away some of this power from them because they have to rely on others, right? But this is giving them back the power to own their work, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, no, it's really super well put together. Geez, that was quite the encore. No, thinking back to a former life as a quality test automation engineer, it's like the challenges that this solves of constantly needing engineering support in order to get the information, access the system components, etc. It seems like you guys have really put together a really nice strategy to be able to enable the quality assurance engineer with the capacity and the avenues in order to integrate with those services that are internal to the Kubernetes cluster, taking care of the quality engineer by being able to surface those logs and not make them find them in their observability tools or kube cuddling their logs from their pods and stuff. Really, really well crafted, well put together.
kubectl.
No way. Get real. Get real.
I have that banner for John and Jared now.
I said kube cuddle too.
Well,
yeah. It's a running gag at that point.
Kube cuddle and chill.
Yeah,
that's right. We can all agree on the letter K. We should just stop there.
It's called K. Anyway, you put an alias, it's K. Everybody's using K. So Alec commented like, love it, great product. They're using a combination of custom dashboard and GitHub Action, so it's not ideal right now to throw everything over the wall and hope that it works. So great to see Kubernetes native solution addressed. So that's a great feedback. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's amazing. I mean, like that could even make testing fun. Which is something that you don't see often in the same sentence when it comes to testing. So that's awesome. Thanks for explaining us a little more the product, showing us like the what's the benefit and how it's working. This is what I love having guests on the show, because like we always had like a small part about Kubefirst, but it's also about like sharing content that is interesting for our audience, like people using Kubefirst, people being in a cloud native space. So I think it's pretty good. So let me come back just a little bit to Kubefirst. If we want to use Testkube now, we've shown you previously how you can do that easily with a GitOps catalog, and you can easily create a cluster using a Kubernetes cluster that have like all the application and tools you need to have like a production ready cluster using Kubefirst in minutes, either running this on the command line or using your beautiful UI that the front end team and Donna, or UX person, did. And we support AWS CVO, and we support also a local installation using K3D, so you don't even have to use the cloud if you want to test Kubefirst. We also support DigitalOcean, Vultr, and Google Cloud. Those three are still in beta, so I would say they're close to being production ready. We should remove them out of. I know I'm saying this for the last, I don't know how many live streams, but you know how it is in a startup, like priority changes, and we had like a lot of like other things to do, but those will get back really soon on our priority list, and we will remove them from beta. But there's also cool stuff coming. We talked to you a little more about that in the past, about like multi-cluster. It's coming really soon, so we're on the last mile of like fixing, testing, and ensuring that you're going to get like the Kubefirst seal of approval in terms of quality. So it's coming there. So if you want to try it, you can go on kubefirst.io/download. You have all the information on how to try Kubefirst. And as a reminder, if you want to try Testkube, you can go on kubeshop/testkube on GitHub. It's open source, but also all the links that I shared before, like cloud.testkube.io, which is probably like the best link to get more information. Or if you want to read more about it, or you have any questions, go on docs.testkube.io. And when it comes to Kubefirst, also docs.kubefirst.io. And We may not seem like it, but we're pretty social people, all the team actually. So join our Slack community. It's on kubefirst.io/Slack. And it's a great place to ask for help, to report if you have any issue, or you know what, like just talk about cloud native stuff, or what's the weather where you live. Like we're just like a nice community trying to help each other. If you have questions that are not even related to KubeFirst, but related to Kubernetes, Argo CD, HashiCorp Vault, we don't know everything, but I would say for the bunch of us, we have a pretty good base knowledge about those technologies. We're going to be more than happy to help you, even if you're not using KubeFirst. That would be bad for you. You should probably try KubeFirst. But like, even if you don't use KubeFirst, we're going to be more than happy to help you, because this is the kind of people we are. So any last word about today's live stream, Hallie? Anything else you want to leave people with? I know you talk most of the time. That was your show. Like, but
yeah,
like, maybe there's one last
take a break.
No, you need to
no, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to talk about Testkube, to see it, how easily it also integrates with KubeFirst. So I hope you guys really give it a try. It's amazing. Get testing, because we often overlook it. We need to be talking more about testing. We need to just give it the attention it deserves. Okay. But thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
No, it's great having you on, Ali. Fred was talking just a couple slides ago about that KubeFirst seal of approval we're trying to get on cluster management. I'm thinking we might need to rethink the way that we're doing our sealing of approvals. So really well shown today. Great product. Glad to have you on. Fred, I think this brings us to you, buddy. I hope you're not going to let us down today.
You'll see. So I have a question for you. What is the favorite actor of JavaScript developers?
What is the favorite actor of JavaScript developers? Yeah, I have no idea. Who would be their favorite actor?
It's Jason Statham. Jason.
Okay.
Jason Statham.
Oh dear. Oh no.
I know. Alex is like, oh no, Fred's job. You know how it started? Like the first show I joined KubeFirst, like I had some Kubernetes background, but like not to the John and Jared level. So I was good to have comments once in a while, but I was like, I'm just a pretty face. Like I don't talk in that show. I was like, I just got a really stupid developer joke out of my head, but like people were like, they're now expecting it. So
we need it every live stream. We're doing it, buddy.
How dare you make me listen to that with my own two ears? This is the price you have to pay to come to that live stream. And thanks, Christian. I know you say that just because we have stand-up meeting every day. You don't want to be mean to me, but yeah. And just for the sake of that, I'm not creating those jokes. Internet is my friend, because I'm not that funny of a person. So on that note, that was a great show. And that is pretty cool, because we only did 48 minutes, which is not a long show for us, but it's about the time we want to do. But you see what happened? Like John and I nearly didn't talk, which is why the show was not that long.
That's right.
I think that was a great show, great content. Thanks everyone for watching us live. If you watch the recording, as always, you can come to the Slack community and ask us any question. Feel free to ping Hallie on Twitter. She shares also a LinkedIn profile. If you have any question about Testkube, she's the person to help you on that. So thanks again, Hallie, for joining the show. Thanks, John, for the demo. And bye, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
See you.